Well, good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock here. I'm Jane Monreal, and you are watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Our top story is really all about Hurricane Erin as we are tracking things for North Carolina. Declared now as a state of emergency. So Governor Stein will be talking a live press conference, preparing that eastern part of the state, including the Outer Banks. That is expected to start at 10:15 this morning. But there are some mandatory evacuations along that part of the area, along the coast, and swim advisories also issued for the area. So more to come on Hurricane Erin. In the meantime, we have what looks to be a pretty calm picture so far. Wrightsville Beach. Things are pretty smooth. No one is out there right now, but things are expected to churn up a little bit later. And Myrtle Beach. Things are a little on the calm side as well. That is usually the calm before the storm, though. Things are looking pretty sweet out there. Nice sunrise over the Atlantic. Some people there on the beach and chilling out. And we are going to check in with Chris Mulcahy in just a little bit. In the meantime, we do have the latest coverage right now from Washington and President Trump talking about Ukraine and the tariffs and the latest discussions, trying to get Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky and Russian President Putin to get together. And so we have, do we have that? And so here is the latest from Alice Barr here on NBC News, from NBC News out of Washington.
On the front lines of eastern Ukraine, relentless Russian strikes underscoring what's at stake as the White House seeks a location for a face-to-face meeting between Ukraine's President Zelensky and Russia's President Putin.
And then after that meeting, if everything works out, okay, I'll meet and we'll wrap it up.
Finding where to meet, no easy task, with Putin facing arrest for war crime charges and many countries party to the International Criminal Court. A White House official telling NBC News President Trump spoke with Hungary's leader and that Budapest is being considered, as well as Geneva. Russia has yet to publicly confirm Putin will meet with Zelensky, though the White House says he agreed to. Ukraine and European allies worried Putin will play for time are pressing for an immediate ceasefire, rather than the broad peace deal President Trump favors following his Putin summit in Alaska. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff defending the approach.
A ceasefire deal is very, very easy to break, because it doesn't have all the ingredients attached to it.
Also noting the importance of guarantees for Ukraine's future security, though President Trump now says the U.S. will not send ground troops to join a European peacekeeping force, while not bring out military support from the air.
It is an option and a possibility.
As the president acknowledges he can't be sure Putin is ready to end the war.
I think Putin is tired of it. I think they're all tired of it. But you never know. It's possible that he doesn't want to make a deal.
Looming unknowns on the path to peace. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
All right, so back here in the Live Impact studio on WCNC Plus, let's go ahead and bring in Chris Mulcahy, meteorologist, covering things for Hurricane Erin, not having a direct impact on the mainland for the most part, right, Chris?
Yeah, and you're already seeing some interesting video of the overrunning of some of the water and some of the roads, and it really just shows you the impacts you can have for an epic storm without it actually making direct landfall. I think the best example of this, and it was a much stronger side of the storm, was when Helene actually rolled past Tampa Bay, and there was significant storm surge associated with that, even though it never made landfall. This one is a much lesser scenario that is farther off towards the east. You're not on the worst side or the dirty side of the storm, but it's still significant because this storm is an absolute monster. So let's bring it up. The most recent specs that we've had on Erin was officially a Category 2 hurricane at winds at about 100 miles per hour. So that's the sustained winds. We have nothing to worry about as far as hurricane sustained winds. But the problem that I think most people have with hurricanes is that we focus so much on the winds, but it's oftentimes the localized flooding, the coastal storm surge that are some of the most deadly parts of this. So that's why a lot of people have been mandatorily evacuated, as you were mentioning, the state of emergency, just because of the amount of water that's picked up. Where these hurricanes are kind of like magnets as far as the water goes. So they literally lift a huge bulge of the water up and that splashes it all on shore. So that's exactly what we're going to be seeing in the short term, that we're going to see a big colliding or a big splashing of all that water onto the shoreline, and that's going to allow for a terrible situation for the Outer Banks. Surrounding areas such as Charleston that we are oh so used to flooding even when there's a chance for, say, a heavier downpour, are also going to have some flooding concerns and issues there as well. All right, so moving on, the worst of the storm luckily is staying offshore, but as we already mentioned, it actually doesn't even need that much to cause an impact. But I also want to show you, compared to when we were in the Impact studio yesterday talking about this, or at least when I was, the difference. You had a lot of dry air that was cutting into this, but notice how much this has grown, that you can see the pure deck of clouds and how wide it is, that if yeah, and it's a nice little swirly right there. Not quite shrimpy, but this is an example from about 3 a.m. this morning, and it's grown even bigger than that. Look at the Carolinas compared to how big the storm was even just 6 hours ago. It's massive. So this is much bigger than the Carolinas, so we can really thank our lucky stars that this was a big miss, because if this made landfall, this would be another retired storm and just epic flooding. So I'm really happy with the scenario. It's still not good. You've still had over 90 rescues in North Carolina around Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach, Surf City over the last 2 days. So hopefully people just stay out of the water, because those double red flags are going to be waving for a reason. There was less rescues yesterday because a lot of people were staying out of the water. Now it's especially dangerous, and that's why there's a high surf advisory, a high rip current danger, not just for the Carolinas, but I'm talking about the entire East Coast, pretty much all the way from Florida up to Connecticut and New England. So our Hurricane Erin advisory at 8 o'clock didn't really change too much. You're still seeing a chance of getting up to about 110 mile per hour winds to 115. That's right on the cusp of a high-end Category 2 to a Category 3 storm as it's passing east of the Carolinas. And then eventually we're not even calling a hurricane anymore by the end of the weekend. And then it's going to sail out to sea, and then it's even becoming post-tropical storm. So it's at its end, but it still has the highest impacts, I think, really tonight and tomorrow morning. It's also starting to get a little bit faster. As for that 140 mile per hour wind that we had on Monday and the 160 that we had over the weekend, that's in the rearview mirror. We're not going to intensify that much. At this point, this is pretty much just going to be a slight little tick up before it really starts to come down by the end of the week. Also, look at the potential wind field. Yesterday, this is a little bit further west. It's trended a little bit further east. So as far as the chance for sustained tropical storm force winds, it's primarily just for the Outer Banks. That storm surge is likely going to be about 1 to 3 feet as well. This has come down a little bit, but we've already seen some of the overrunning. That's physically when you have waves and water that are coming through, taking over roads, coming on under some of those homes. We're definitely going to be seeing that. But I think the max storm surge that we see is 4 to 5 feet, but that's very isolated, where if you look really closely, looking at this more detailed storm surge prediction, it only has a little bit of yellow that's in there. But if you expand outwards, you can still see that we have some blue and storm surge potential for some of the inland areas right around some of those alligator coves, and then also a little bit of blue for up to a couple foot storm surge from Myrtle Beach up to Wilmington. And then, of course, the more inland areas right around Charleston, all you need is a storm to even be, I say, like 1,000 miles away to push enough water in there to cause some flooding there. So the areas that flood are likely going to flood again. As far as our wind gusts go, you can see them starting to reach their maximum really by 4 a.m. Tomorrow morning. That's about a 6 to 8 hour difference compared to when I was talking yesterday. So this is trending faster. And again, it's only going to be the far eastern side of the Carolinas that are going to be most impacted. A better look at the next 36 hours. I was really hammering this home yesterday. We were so lucky that if these storm systems, these fronts, that high that you're all seeing there, if that wasn't in place, this would be making a direct impact into the Carolinas, and that would even be affecting Charlotte's forecast. But instead, we can see that it's trying to work its way into a beach vacation for the Outer Banks, but then a near miss pushes it out to sea. So yes, there are going to be some major impacts, but as far as a storm of this magnitude, this is the best case scenario that we could have had, even though it's still not that good and we still have states of emergency. Back home, we're starting to see a little bit of blue sky. We had some dense fog that's now starting to clear out. By the middle of the afternoon, we're back to the mid-80s. Yesterday, we only hit 85 degrees, and the reason for that is the cloud cover wouldn't give up. We were supposed to maybe see it for most of the afternoon, said it was only a sliver of the afternoon. Today, you're going to have a much better chance, but we will see some clouds building in from the southeast. So if you live, say, around Rockingham, you will have better chance for clouds, say, compared to around Charlotte. As far as our rain chances going forward, we have rain up in the mountains and the foothills, and then it's Thursday night into Friday. I think that's our sweet spot and our best chance for some flooding rains, especially west of I-77. We're already seeing the clouds break up here for our WCNC roof camera, and high temperatures right around 88 degrees. But I want to go through all the rain chances that you're potentially going to see over the next 68 hours. Today, it's mainly in the foothills and the mountains. So congrats to the kids that went back to school. Maybe they're not feeling that. Maybe congrats to the parents more. In Avery County. Well, you're expecting some thunderstorms potentially right around there when the kids are getting home, so keep that in mind if you're a parent watching from Avery County or even Watauga County, because your kids already went back to school on Monday. But notice the storms are all in that blue zone. That's the thunderstorm zone. The thunderstorm zone. Anything in the gray, likely not seeing a storm or even a rain shower, so that does include Charlotte, Monroe, and areas east. By the time you get to your Saturday time frame, I think we're starting to break up a rain chance, but they really start to become a little bit more widespread through tomorrow. Tomorrow, starting the clock at 2 o'clock, we see signs of storms up in the mountains, scattered throughout the afternoon, but it's a much better chance closing out the evening, so that is going to be affecting, say, Panthers forecast, rain jogging into the morning hours on Friday, keeping clouds around, and that's also why we're looking at a much cooler forecast for your Friday and your Saturday, with lingering clouds, kind of a lesser example of that cold air damming, and then we shift the winds again back to the mid to the upper 80s where we should be this time of year. Better weather for the Charlotte FC match, and then we really end the month rather cool. So it's actually a big difference in temperatures to close out the month, and I actually made this earlier, but I never really had a chance to show it. So you have our 6 to 10 day outlook. We're trending well below normal, so it doesn't really look like we're going to have anything big surge as far as any sort of warm-ups in the near term. And as far as the tropics go, I know all of our focus, of course, is on Hurricane Erin. Well, we could be talking about Hurricane Fernan a little bit later on in next week, because we have a 60% chance for development. But the good news is, because where Erin is and the way the flow is going to be, it's going to keep it even further out to sea. But if you look really closely in that orange, there is a little speck. This would be more in line for a Bermuda situation. But with the waters, rapid intensification, it is following the similar zone where we did see this storm, Erin, become a Category 5. So that's something that we want to watch. We like that it is trending a little bit more out to sea, not so much for Bermuda. And then right behind that, we have another tropical wave. It's this time of year that we start getting more tropical waves coming off of Africa that push their way to the west. They can take up to 2 weeks to make their way to the United States. And then especially once we get closer to September, we'll see a lot more waves developing over in the Gulf. So we're only at the beginning. Officially, it's actually August 20th, today, until October 10th. That is the true maximum potential for hurricane season, where September 10th is smack dab in the middle for the absolute peak. So we've only really just begun, and boy, is it already looking like it's going to be active over the next few weeks.
Wow, and we're coming up on a year for Hurricane Helene. So yeah, that makes sense. September is just that tricky area towards October. All right, we're going to enjoy this weekend, though, a little break.
Yeah.
temps.
Yeah, of
That'll be
course.
pretty nice.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with August. It's been all over the place. We just had a spell of the 90s. We should be in the upper 80s. And one thing I didn't really get to, there's so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
The best news I have for you is by earlier next week when we're talking about the dip back into the 80s, it should actually be a break from the humidity as well. So it's actually going to start to feel comfortable the middle of next week. So the end of August is kind of back to more of that October feel as we had earlier in the month.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Of course.
All right. We will see you later. Appreciate you always. Right now, we are looking at this weekend, speaking of which, as things are expected to be pretty nice here in the Charlotte metro area. Clear the shelters. Huge day for WCNC Charlotte as we are trying to clear those overcrowded animal shelters. So our Vanessa Rufus did speak to a local club to see what they do. They run, right? But they also help dogs run and let out some energy, and it's an important and fun and fulfilling thing that they get to do. So here is part of Vanessa Rufus's interview with the group Lumi Zuni. Did I get that right? Zumi Toomey, Carlene. Yep. Zumi Toomey. This is previously recorded here on WCNC Plus.
Out the month, but we've got Clear the Shelters, and this is a great time for us to talk about adoption, fostering, volunteering, advocacy work, donations, all that folks can do to support their local shelters and rescues. And this is really cool, this topic that we have for you right now, because I don't know if we've given this much of a spotlight in all of our reporting that we've done on the volunteer and foster program over at Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control. So we've got Deanna O'Connor and Deanna Hubler joining us from Zumi Toomey Run Club. And so just a quick background on Zumi Toomey Run Club. This name comes from the name of the satellite location for Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control, which is on Toomey Avenue. But this is a volunteer group specifically for helping these dogs and also getting, I guess, essentially your steps in, right?
Yes.
So tell us about Zumi Toomey Run Club. What do y'all do, and how did this get started?
So this was started by a foster, Ricky Highsmith. This is his baby. He was the founder, and initially he was the solo member. So last summer he started coming over to Toomey and taking dogs one at a time and running at Southside Park across the street. And volunteers, he started talking to volunteers, talking to staff, talking to community members, and he really built this program. So it is a run club / rescue / way for community members to come out and meet dogs, exercise dogs, and then also bring attention to the Toomey location every Sunday morning.
Yeah. By the way, we've got some clips and some videos that y'all sent us. You can see that off to your left-hand side, ladies, but folks, of course, you're seeing it right on your screen, but these are some images of some of your events. Important to mention, too, I mean, there's so many benefits of this club, but one of the primary, purposes is to kind of curb kennel stress, which is the whole purpose, really, of the volunteer program, getting these dogs out of the kennels, because they can get a bit wound up, if they're not getting out on a regular basis. And this seems like a great energy burner, right?
Absolutely. So one of my favorite things to do after all the dogs have been out and ran, walked, however you choose to interact with them, the kennels are so much quieter. You walk through, the energy is just much more calm. They've usually got their treats that are in the kennels with them. They're just happier, and I like to think that they present better for the potential foster and adopters that are coming in.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that we always try to talk about when we do talk about adoption and fostering and volunteering, why it's so important to keep in mind when you go to maybe meet some of these dogs in person, maybe not judge them but by what you see when you're looking through a closed kennel door, because sometimes those dogs might have been there for several hours. They're pent up. They don't always present their very best, and I kind of always think, how might a person feel, if you're stuck in a enclosed space for a long time. And so, I mean, I salute y'all for making this a regular thing, and it seems like a great way to not only help the shelter, but also maybe probably get to meet some really great people too.
Oh, Absolutely.
met.
That's how we met. I mean, again, it's volunteers, it's fosters, and community members. Anybody can come in at 10 o'clock on Tuesday or on Sunday mornings to Toomey, and we've made great relationships with each other. And so many of these community members and fosters have taken dogs directly from Run Club. They've fallen in love. They take a dog with them, talk to a family member. They take a dog with them, talk to friends. So it's bringing more attention to Toomey, providing exercise, and then also building friendships with the volunteers, fosters, and community members.
Yeah, probably worth noting too maybe some of the background on Toomey, because it is probably a lesser known location. Folks are probably more familiar with the longstanding Byram Drive main shelter, but Toomey was added as kind of a satellite location because the shelter, as we've reported on time and time again here in Charlotte, has been at max capacity pretty much since after the pandemic. It sounds like the kennels have been pretty full, and this is kind of an extra kind of overflow space that is giving the shelter a little extra, room and kennel capacity. But if folks don't know about it, maybe they're not looking over there for some really great dogs. Great notes on some of the dogs that we're seeing over there.
So the dogs at Toomey are, they're great dogs. Obviously, there's approximately 30 kennels that are usually full at Toomey. The other thing about the Toomey dogs is they are moved over there because they can be in a kennel environment in which they share a fence with another dog. So they have the temperament that they can, not fence fight and get along with other dogs in that environment. So the Toomey location is not really spotlighted all that much because it is almost, I guess you would say, satellite/overflow location. But again, incredible dogs and about 30 kennels.
Yeah, it was the old Humane Society building, so there's a lot of that infrastructure that has remained. It sounds like they did fix it up just a bit. I've seen the inside of Toomey before, and you can kind of tell, it's an older building, but they've got it, set up so that they can house dogs appropriately. But to your point, yeah, not every dog can go over to Toomey. It almost kind of speaks well of their behavioral and inter-dog relationship.
All right, we are going to put a pin in Vanessa's recorded interview with that local group, doing some good work there, Zumi Toomey, for a special guest, because this morning we want to bring in Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter Carnie Wilson, founding member of the beloved pop trio group Wilson Phillips. I love that song, and the group. Beyond her powerful legacy that defined the 90s, of course, Carnie has become an outspoken and a powerful advocate for mental health awareness. And joining her this morning is Dr. Greg Mattingly to talk about a related movement disorder. Good morning, you two. Thanks for taking the time to join us here in the Charlotte area.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Carnie, let me start with you because we know your music and your art has also segued and you've been an outspoken advocate for mental health awareness. What inspired to take your story publicly?
I really think it's about me suffering from depression and anxiety for basically my whole life. And my whole life has been in the public eye, sort of in that fishbowl, and I've always connected with people. I think it started with music, and now there's a beautiful new campaign called Connecting with Carnie. I've partnered with Neurocrine Biosciences as a paid spokesperson to raise awareness about mental health and TD, or tardive dyskinesia, a movement disorder associated with taking certain mental health medications. So the purpose of this campaign is, first of all, there's a website, connectingwithcarnie.com, where people can go to get information about TD, but also to see me interview patients that are living with TD, express to me how they were in hiding, shame, feeling shame surrounding these movements that were uncontrolled. Their movements of their face, their tongue, their eyes, their fingers, their torsos, and a woman named Allison, who was a famous DJ, an actress who just became more withdrawn, kicking her husband so violently in bed that they couldn't sleep, and just that shame involved. So erasing the stigma is one thing, but also to encourage people to seek diagnosis and get help. And Dr. Mattingly can really speak more about TD. I do not have TD myself, but I do know that just that feeling of the shame of having somebody judge you for something physically really resonates with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Doctor, explain TD, why it happens when people are seeking help and, such as medication to deal with mental health issues or concerns that they might have for themselves. They're taking this medication and now getting into a different, disorder.
You know, Jane, I think we all know that mental health does not discriminate. You can be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, a university student, and we probably all know somebody who struggled with depression, bipolar, anxiety, or maybe had a condition such as schizophrenia. Many of our common mental health medications can cause an unwanted side effect called tardive dyskinesia. It's an abnormal, involuntary movement that can affect any body part, quite often involving your lips and tongue, your eyes where there's abnormal blinking, your fingers and hands where they're moving in ways they didn't used to move, maybe your feet or legs where your feet are moving at night. And as Carney said, I can't keep my feet still at night. I'd encourage anyone out there to pause before you go see your clinician and look in the mirror. Do you notice something that didn't used to be there? Do you notice something in your lips and tongue? Do you notice something in your eyes, your fingers, your feet? And if you see something, say something. That's where we're proud to partner with Neurocrine Biosciences to be paid representatives and to talk about their treatment Ingrezza, which is still the #1 treatment in the United States. It was the first one approved by the FDA to offer hope for individuals living with tardive dyskinesia. As with any medicine, it can have side effects, the most common being sleepiness and tiredness. But this is a medicine that's been very successful for improving the lives of a number of my patients living with tardive dyskinesia.
And I don't know if we mentioned before, but there are 800,000 Americans that have TD, and 60% of those people don't know they have it. So I've learned so much about this disorder and that there is hope, and that's the message. I love connecting with people, and I know you do too. We want to make a difference, and I think the more open we are about it, the better we're going to be. And I'm just so proud of the advocates. These patients are so willing to be vulnerable and open up about what they've been through, and I think that it's going to have that ripple effect. So that's my prayer, that we can erase the stigma around mental health, we can raise awareness around about TD, and people will seek treatment and get help.
Yeah, speaking of hope, Carney, your relationship with your daughter has evolved over the years, and again, your platform and what you can do in your role. How has your relationship with the public and with discussion more open out there on social media even, how has that evolved over the years for you?
I can't keep quiet. That's me every day in my house even. I'm very loud and very vocal. And I think it's just what I was born to do. I'm born to connect with people. So the fact that it's called Connecting with Carney is so appropriate. And my daughters, both, we all kind of suffer from sort of a low-grade depression and anxiety. My husband too. It's in both sides of my mom and dad's family. And I think the whole point is that we don't want to suffer in silence. We don't have to suffer in silence. Many people are afraid. They're just afraid to be honest about how they're feeling, what's happening. And TD it's physical. It's a physical condition. So people notice. And I want to say to them, you don't have to suffer in silence, and that there is help. So that's the whole point of this campaign.
For someone who might be watching, struggling with their own, whether it's mental health awareness or even some of these movements and symptoms that you described, Dr. Ann Carney, really, what is your message besides there is hope moving forward? What's your message this morning?
Yeah, the message is, once again, mental health does not discriminate. We're trying to break down stigma, break down those barriers, and offer hope to patients. And then I'll end with, once again, connectingwithcarney.com. It's the real lives of real people just like us that Carney interviews, talking about their journey. And if you see something, say something. Don't be ashamed to come into your clinician and say, hey, listen, I've noticed something that is really embarrassing to talk about. Could there be help out there?
It is time to speak up for yourself. It is time, and to not be ashamed. I'm here for you.
Thank you, you two. Thank you for sharing. And Carney would be remiss without offering our condolences on the passing of your father as well. Just another difficult year. So thank you. Thank you for sharing and your compassion and letting that message out. We will make sure our viewers know as well. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, take care. Carney Wilson and Dr. Greg Mattingly talking about mental health awareness and some of these medications that might be kind of an offshoot, something that we haven't thought about, but maybe you have been dealing with and are questioning what's going on with my involuntary movements. So we'll have information on that here on our website and bringing to light this disorder of movements and involuntary movements here, TD. Tardive dyskinesia. Wow, I've learned something new myself. All right, let's get back to Vanessa's previously recorded interview as we come up on 9:30, talking to the Zumi Toomey Run Club as we are working to clear the shelters this Saturday's coming up weekend.
Inside of Toomey before, and you can kind of tell, it's an older building, but they've got it, set up so that they can house dogs appropriately. But to your point, yeah, not every dog can go over to Toomey. It almost kind of speaks well of their behavioral and inter-dog relationship, skills that they're over there at Toomey. So we talked about the fact that there's some great notes for some of these dogs. Y'all have picked out 4 dogs to highlight, so we can start off. It looks like we've got Bongo queued up first here, so let's go ahead and we've got Bongo's flyer first, and so we'll be able to read a little bit about Bongo, 5 years old, looks like he's around 55 pounds. He's a male and just seems like a really sweet guy. What can you tell us about Bongo?
So Bongo is, he's an incredible boy. He's actually one that we use at Run Club for parallel walks. So we will try to do parallel walks with dogs just to see how they would do with another dog in close proximity. And he is one of our go-to guys. He has been there since May. It's unfortunate because he is such a sweetheart, but he's 5 years old now, and sometimes those quiet, calmer dogs get overlooked. But he is a wonderful guy, a volunteer favorite, and definitely a Run Club favorite.
Yeah, we've got some clips that y'all have shared of Bongo. So we do see the parallel walking here, him with another dog. Looks like this is just outside of the Toomey location. Looks like a real sweetie. Oh, I just love to see that. And the parallel walks too, I totally understand. Really great to kind of get a sense of temperament. Look at this face.
Right?
Oh.
And he loves to snuggle. He'll stop in the middle of a walk just to snuggle.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so next up we have Ollie. So we'll start off once again with Ollie's flyer so folks can get an idea of some of the notes. 3 years old, neutered male, kind of around that 50-pound mark as well. He's got a beautiful tan baby seal look, I can see.
So handsome.
Yeah, tell us about Ollie.
So Ollie is, the good news is an hour ago I got a text saying that Ollie went to be adopted.
Oh,
so we have good news.
Breaking news. Okay.
This is breaking news, but on the flip side, there is another a dog similar to Ollie named Jonathan that is there, similar, maybe a little more energy, but a very sweet guy, great in the car. Are you familiar with Jonathan?
Yes, one of my friends ran him at Run Club, and she said that he could have kept on going, but it was great on leash, very treat motivated, very sweet.
Okay, so we'll reiterate once again, unfortunately the ship has sailed for Ollie, who is just an absolute dreamboat, but Jonathan, seemingly some similar notes and maybe a similar, does he have a similar look too as Ollie?
He does. Okay. He's the tan and white. He's a little bit smaller, but again, he's had great notes on vacations, good notes with kids, and positive with other dogs. Yeah. So it's very similar to Ollie. If you were interested in Ollie, please consider Jonathan. He's also at Toomey.
Jonathan over at Toomey for Charmec Animal Care and Control. I think also I should mention this too, like the fact that you're able to get great notes. I mean, this is something that comes from an event or, a type of a volunteer effort like Zumi Toomey Run Club. You're able to get these great notes, and this actually does make a big difference in these dogs going to foster or adopt, because you can't always get notes like this if they're cooped up in a shelter and not getting interactions with other humans, kids, dogs, anything like that. Yeah.
And also also to note, I mean, the runners will come back and give us notes that we share, and we also have a volunteer named Joe who takes amazing photos, and a lot of these photos are his.
Okay.
So the runners and the fosters and the volunteers take photos, but most of the amazing ones are from Joe. So he comes every Sunday and just to take photos of the dogs so we can update profiles and their albums.
Yeah. Next up here we have Polly. I just love Polly's face so much. She's got a great smile.
She does. So I haven't walked Polly. However, I love her love for the pool and the sprinkler.
Oh yeah, we've got some great videos.
She gets out, she gets some great energy out with whoever she's with, and I think everybody's just entertained at the end when she steps into the pool, when she steps into the sprinkler. Exactly. That is so her, and she loves it.
Oh my goodness.
Polly is 100% life of the party. She runs, when you get her out of the kennel, she wants to go right to the front door, not to the back where the yard is. She wants to go to the front door because she thinks the sprinkler and pool are out there. Ooh. She is so much fun and so sweet, and she's done really well with the kids at Run Club as well.
Yeah, we can see some great photos of her with some of the younger runners, if you will, and so that's great to hear as well, because that just means more potential households that could take Polly in, because she seems to get along with any sort of situation, seemingly. Up next, we've got Silas, and we've got Silas's flyer here. 2 years old, male, closer to the 60-pound mark, and really handsome man.
I've had him out twice. So once with my current foster, Jeremiah, where he beautifully parallel walked. We kind of had this cute little interaction, because you're always cautious initially when you have them parallel walking. You're not too close because you're kind of gauging and watching their body language. Then the second time I took him out, I was expecting a walk, and he was like, I know you're a runner, we're going to run. So that's exactly what we did.
Oh my goodness.
Actually, last week we nominated Silas as Runner of the Week, because he is another Run Club favorite. Mm-hmm. Again, loves kids, likes other dogs, great on outings. I think there's a picture of him there at the bookstore. Mm-hmm. He's a reader.
Oh, I did see that picture.
Yeah,
actually, that might be coming up shortly.
Okay, yeah.
So haven't already.
We found out he likes books also.
That's good. Studious,
Yeah, another great dog.
Love it. Well, we'll just remind folks that all of these pups we've profiled here. You can find more information on our website, WCNC.com. We also have an article up inside the WCNC Charlotte mobile app. If you'd like to learn more about the pups and also the adoption process and also the volunteer process. Speaking of which, I did want to chat about how folks can join your club, because I know, being a volunteer myself, I remember having to go through, the application process. Mm-hmm. You have to kind of get vetted and approved through the volunteer program officially to kind of hold leashes and that sort of thing. So what would you recommend folks do to try to kind of maximize their experience for Zumi to Me?
So they can come over. Anybody can come over. If you just have to have a driver's license for identification, but you can come and participate in Zumi to Me any morning. Come anytime between 10 and 12 on Sundays. And if you're not a volunteer but would like to be a volunteer, if you go to the shelter website, the volunteer information is on there as well. The process has been simplified a little bit. Yeah. The process is pretty quick. There's a couple trainings, but it's 100% worth it. But we definitely encourage community members to come over. And besides coming on Sunday, any community member at any time can go with their identification and take out a dog for a day, and they would appreciate it. So if you're not available on Sundays to come to Run Club, you can go over to Toomey between 9 and 5. They just like to have the dogs back by 4 so they can give them dinner, but you can take a dog out for the day. You can take them to the park across the street. It's walking distance to the rail trail at South End, so you can just walk them up there. You can also take them like to Whitewater Center or some other adventure if you'd like, and the dogs really love it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, we talk a lot about the importance of volunteering, but I think once you do it, you just really see firsthand the difference that it makes for these animals in need. And I agree in the sense that, it changes lives, and it saves lives too. Can you, I guess, share any sort of success stories, if you will, of like maybe dogs you've met along the way who ended up in great homes, or just speak to in general the experience that you've had as a volunteer and how that's changed maybe your perspective or anything like that.
I've met a couple that after, because I kind of follow their journey, because you kind of get a little invested with them when you've walked them. I always like to post them into my Instagram, share their story, share their link, and then I'll notice they're in the adoption report where I'm just like, oh, I played a little part in their journey. So I find that to be sweet. I've actually picked up 2 fosters along the way. One who, Heidi was a volunteer favorite, so many of the volunteers really advocated for her after she was so kennel stressed she lost some weight. Now she's absolutely thriving. The girl that she was when she initially came to me, kind of shut down, is definitely not the girl she is today. So she's really taught me the importance of what decompression looks like and giving a dog the opportunity to, just calm down, to get comfortable and then, kind of acclimate into their environment.
Yeah. What about you? Deanna number 2 or number 1? I'm not going to pick favorites at all.
Oh my gosh. Of course I've had favorites over the past couple of years. I had one favorite, Kirby, that, was a little bit stressed, had a little bit of an incident, but he was cleared, and then this amazing young girl took him. She lives out of town. He's thriving. He has a sister, a fur sister, and he's doing so well. Again, there's another one, Peppermint, recently. She was there, 6 months? A long time. And we had an amazing foster, took her in. We all worked together to exercise her, and she ended up with an amazing family that had 3 kids, and she's another boxer mix. It goes on and on, how many, and you're just so happy and relieved. But my shout out really goes to the fosters. They're the ones that give them that decompression time and do the slow introductions and give them that safe space that they need to thrive before they're ready for adoption.
Yeah. I mean, having done foster work as well through the shelter, like seeing a dog that goes from totally maybe shut down or, maybe in some cases some personality concerns because they've been so pent up at the shelter, totally do a 180, happy, thriving, and then you see them and people go, oh, how do you love on them for so long and then let them go? It's when you get the pictures from the family, the new family, they're like, we love this dog or cat so much, and this dog or cat has changed our family's life, and then you're like, this is why you do it. It's, it's great for the dog or cat. It's amazing for the families where they go to, too.
100%. And we do have some foster fails, which are also amazing. They
we
fall
did
in
that
love.
as well in our house.
So that's okay, too.
Yeah. Ours is, folks who are watching on TV, there's a commercial that we have for Clear the Shelters that's running. Our dog is in that Rocky River. He's a brindle. We have multiple rescues that we've had over the years, but he is the foster fail from Charmeck, and it kind of sneaks up on you. I think you don't know that you're going to fail. And when we say fail, it means you were supposed to adopt them out to someone else, but you just decide to keep them for yourself. But yeah, they steal your hearts.
They do. They do.
I get asked that question about both Heidi and Jeremiah, and I think of myself as being part of their journey and setting them up for their forever. So that's just the frame of mind that I've put myself in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just kind of prepping the mind. I've done it too, where there's tears, but it makes it all worth it when you see the forever family picture. Ladies, anything else you'd like to share? I mean, we've been alluding to Clear the Shelters. That's this Saturday, and so we're partnering with Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control over for the location. It's going to be Byram Drive is where that event will happen. But anything you want to share about that? I know a lot of volunteers will be out there. And we'll definitely have more throughout the week with the shelter itself.
So, I mean, the Clear the Shelter also applies to the Toomey location, so hopefully people will head over to Toomey. It is a smaller location, so there's less lines, so that's nice. But I'm just encouraging people on Sunday mornings, maybe even if you don't want to run or walk a dog, you just come over and meet a dog when they're out of the kennels and they're out in the park or out in the parking lot. It's a great way, too, to meet dogs out of that kennel environment.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add just about the overall shelter situation, volunteering, adopting, fostering, anything before we wrap things up here?
I'll say Run Club is also for walkers, so don't be intimidated by the name Run Club, because you can also walk the dogs or just hang out with them in the park, like Deanna was saying.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that, volunteering definitely. I would recommend it to anybody that has any interest. Your schedule is flexible. You come and go as you please. The training has been simplified, but it's still very thorough, so you feel safe. And I encourage anybody that's considering volunteering to please go to the website and fill that out. And fostering, of course. We always need fosters.
Indeed, indeed. Well, it's been such a pleasure to have you both here on Live Impact News, and hopefully those pups we profiled will be finding either fosters or forever homes. And I hope that you get more folks over to Zoomy Toomy Run Club, because it sounds like such a fabulous, group effort, and anything that we can do to support our local shelters and rescues is really paramount right now. So
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Once again, folks, you can check out more information on WCNC.com. You can also look for this article inside the WCNC Charlotte mobile app, and keep it here on WCNC Plus throughout the week. We'll be profiling other rescues and shelters and adoptable pets around our area. In fact, tomorrow we're set to speak directly with Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control about the upcoming event this Saturday.
And that was our Vanessa Rufus with yesterday's previously recorded interview with a local run club helping curb kennel stress. All right, very good. And so just again to remind you, we are clearing the shelters with the help of WCNC Charlotte, sponsored by Hollywood Feed. The adoption event is this Saturday, 9 until 5 at the Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control. That is on Byram Drive. You can text the word PETS to 704-329-3600. There are other locations, or you can simply donate money. Your money goes a long way. That QR code definitely helps. And you know what? I am going to be there this Saturday. Just add me to the event. We're going to stream here on WCNC Plus. That's going to be fun.
Yep.
Jeb's going to be holding it down here in studio, and I'm going to be out there talking to the animals. Talking
one-on-one.
Yeah.
Jane and the pups and the kitties.
Isn't it Dr. Doolittle?
Yes.
Dr. Doolittle.
That's you.
It's going to be Dr.
Ace Ventura Pet Detective.
Yes. Let's get these folks a home,
Yes.
okay? I'll be out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Larry Sprinkle, of course, is going to be out there early in the morning, and then I'll catch up with him around 10 o'clock. And then we're going to go around, talk to some of the foster parents, some of the organizers, try to take more pictures of animals, dogs and cats. They all need a home, and so that'll be fun because that'll be live. And so we'll get to see their personalities up close and personal, and it is always a good event and a huge one. So help us clear the shelters and get these furry friends a nice new home. It is just past 9:45 here on WCNC. Plus, you're watching Live Impact News. I'm Jane Monreal. So yesterday, CMS held a live press conference because Monday, back to school, first day of school for CMS students. And Dr. Crystal Hill, superintendent, was among the local leaders talking about what they are preparing for. There are some changes that families are going to want to know about. So if you missed this press conference yesterday, we will go ahead and start to play that right now here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Everyone, and welcome to the CMS 2025-26 Back to School Media Briefing. We are so glad that you are here today. I am Dr. Ingrid Medlock, Chief of Staff and Community Engagement, and I'm also serving as the Interim Chief Communications Officer. We are so pleased to be here at CPCC. We'd like to thank Dr. Dieter Meyer for allowing us to have this media briefing here. And we also want to thank Principal Eric Turner of the Central Piedmont Early College. He's with us this morning, and he's going to share just an overview of the program and why anyone in Charlotte should choose CMS, more specifically, the Early College. Principal Turner.
Thank you, Dr. Medlock. I am Principal Turner, and first of all, I just want to reiterate what Dr. Medlock said. Thank you to Dr. Dietermeyer and to Dr. Mitchell for your visionary leadership. Also, thank you to all of our partners at Central Piedmont Community College for the support that they give for our program. Central Piedmont Early College is a cooperative, innovative high school, and the question that I often get is, well, what is the difference between an early college and a middle college? And the primary difference is that early colleges begin in the 9th grade, and the middle colleges begin in the 11th grade. And students in our program, they are able to earn a high school diploma and earn their 24 high school credits in addition to their associate degree if they choose to do so. So those 60 additional credits that they can earn for their associate degree, most of our students earn those within their 12th grade. But our program is unique because our students can stay for a 13th grade if they need that additional time. So it's a built-in gap year for our students to be able to earn that associate degree if they choose to do so. One of the additional things that I'm very proud of is that we have unique partnerships throughout the community. So our students partner with the Sullenberger Aviation Museum, the Discovery Place to provide work-based experiences. And we also know that high school is a lot, but high school is also workforce development. And so we are proud to have internships, paid internships for our students. And one of our primary partners is Wells Fargo, where we have juniors and seniors that are working at Wells Fargo in a variety of different fields. And so we're excited about those partnerships. We are also excited about that work-based experience. And we opened in 2023, and during our first year in existence, we exceeded expected growth on the state report card score. And then last year, we celebrated our first graduating class. We had students that attended colleges from Auburn to LSU to A&T to North Carolina Central and everywhere in between. We had students that went off to the military and that are doing the 3 E's that Dr. Hill talks about so often. So we started school last week with 345 scholars here and 100 students on our wait list. And so as we look at our school and we think about all of the opportunities available for them, we are going to conquer possibilities like Central Piedmont talks about and really communicates to their students, and we're going to provide endless possibilities for all of our students at Central Piedmont Early College. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Principal Turner. We really appreciate you giving us that overview of your program, and we thank you for allowing us to be here today as well. So let's get started. This morning you will hear from the leadership of Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. We will start, of course, with our superintendent, Dr. Crystal Hill. And please know that everything that we discuss today is related to the opening of our school year, 2025-26. Once the panel finishes, you will have an opportunity to ask any questions. Susan Vernon Devlin will facilitate that process. So at this time, I introduce to you our superintendent, Dr. Hill.
Thank you, Dr. Medlock, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2025-26 school year. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're really excited to have you all here. Before we get started, I would like to honor our Board of Education. We are so honored that we have strong leadership in our district and would like to thank them for all of their support. Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools is really excited to begin yet another school year full of promise and, of course, full of endless possibilities for every single student. Our teams have been hard at work throughout the summer and even before the summer began, making preparations to welcome students to class for our traditional students on Monday, which is August 25th. Today, we will share with you updates about our preparation and our readiness in the areas of operations, which of course includes facilities and grounds, transportation, and safety. We will also talk about staffing and vacancies, and also Infinite Campus, which is our new student information system. Before we get to those updates, I'd like to introduce Deputy Superintendent Dr. Melissa Bulknight. She is going to provide an overview of academics.
Thank you, Dr. Hill, and good morning. I'm happy that we are at this time Good morning again, and happy back to school time to our students, families, and staff. We are excited. Testing? Perfect. All right. Good morning. Third time's a charm, right? Yes. Good morning and happy back to school time to our students, families, and staff. We are excited to welcome students back for the 25-26 school year. This summer, more than 7,900 students and over 1,000 teachers participated in enriching programs across our district. Staff and students learned together, building momentum for a strong school year ahead with both prepared learners and prepared educators. Over the next week, our educators will attend content-specific professional development on curricular materials and core teaching strategies to further prepare them for this upcoming school year. K-5 mathematics teachers and instructional leaders have been preparing to continue the implementation of illustrative mathematics and to strengthen our grade level content knowledge supported by CMS content specialists. In language arts, training has been closely connected to literacy research with a strong emphasis on applying the science of reading in both leadership decisions and classroom instruction. Secondary educators in math, language arts, and science have focused on unit overviews, strategies to foster productive classroom discussions, and readiness for teaching the standards. These intentional learning opportunities ensure that our educators are well prepared, setting a strong foundation for a successful school year for every student. As we begin the year, we remain committed to creating classrooms that foster innovation, engagement, and deep thinking. To support this, we are asking students and families to follow the guidelines for personal technology devices, including cell phones, smartphones, smartwatches, and personal tablets. Parents, please take a moment to review the student code of conduct with your child so that our classrooms remain focused and supportive learning spaces. Our district teams and schools have been busy preparing to welcome families. In recent weeks, we have hosted numerous back-to-school events for new students, and this week, starting today, we have our open houses. So we have middle school today, this evening, and then Wednesday, August the 20th, elementary schools, Thursday, August the 21st, high schools and K-8 schools. We encourage parents and families to attend these events with their children to meet teachers, learn about expectations, and build connections that will support student success throughout the year. In conversations with principals and staff, one theme is clear. Our educators are eager and ready to welcome students. In Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, we are proud that our classrooms are centered on children and designed to provide the high-quality learning experiences every student deserves. At this time, I will turn it over to Chief Ivey, Chief of Operations.
Thank you, Dr. Bognight. Good morning. We are excited to begin the 25-26 school year with a focus on operational efficiency and safe, clean environments. As you know, safety is our top priority, and evidence from the annual crime data released by NCDPI shows that our layered approach to safety protocols and procedures is working. From the 2021-22 school year until the 2023-24 school year, we saw a decrease in 4 primary categories tracked by NCDPI, a 7.7% reduction in the total number of criminal acts, an 8.3% decrease in acts of crime per 1,000 students, a 49% reduction in possession of a weapon other than a firearm, and most significantly, a 69% reduction in possession of firearms from 29 to 9 in the 23-24 school year. The official data for the 24-25 school year will be released by DPI in December or January, and we anticipate that we will continue to see improvements in our safety data. This school year, all visitors will continue to check in using our visitor management system, which is actively monitored in all schools. SROs are on staff at all K-8, middle, and high schools, along with CMPD and CMSPD patrol officers who will routinely patrol our elementary schools as part of their daily routes. Students entering K-8, middle, and high schools will go through our walk-through security scanners. This year, we are excited to add a safety protocol called I Love You Guys. It refers to the last words texted from a daughter to her parents before losing her life in a serious school incident. The standard response protocol provides clear, consistent actions and language for schools to use in the event of an emergency. The protocol includes the use of common terminology and age-appropriate safety drills, transparent updates for parents during and after incidents, and collaboration with local emergency services. All school administrators received training on the new standard response protocol at our summer leadership conference in June, and staff are being trained this week. Also, this October, we will host our first safety summit during School Safety Week. More information to come about this exciting event. And as we kick off this school year, remember that school safety is a community effort involving law enforcement, school staff, parents, and students. If you see something, say something. And before I move on to my next topic, I would like to introduce briefly our new Chief of Police, Jonathan Thomas, who's with us today at the press briefing. Now for a quick update on bond projects. This summer, the final 2017 bond project was completed with the addition of a poured-in-place playground at the new Bruns Elementary School campus. The first 2023 bond project, the Montessori conversion of the former Sedgefield Elementary School, is ready for students to return. Work is also underway at South Mecklenburg High School, Northwest School of the Arts, Billingsville Elementary, Cotswold Elementary, Marie G. Davis, New Middle School No. 1, and First Ward Creative Arts. This year, First Ward will serve the middle school grades arts program that was relocated from the Northwest School of the Arts. Northwest will serve high school students, and University Park will support the elementary school arts program. For more information on the 2017 and the 23 bond, please visit cmsbondconstruction.com. In facilities, we're excited that Davison K-8 will open as an elementary school this year with the 6th through 8th grade students attending Bailey Middle School. We will welcome students from Dorothy J. Vaughan to Parkside Elementary as an elementary STEM magnet. And our building services team completed over 8,000 work orders addressing school and office needs.
It is 10 o'clock. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC+. I'm Jane Monreal. We will get back to that previously recorded presser from CMS as they get families ready for the first day of school coming up on Monday. I'm sure if you are a parent of CMS students, you know that already, but a lot of changes underway for the academic school year. So as folks prepare for the school year, we are also preparing for, here in North Carolina with sports gambling, online sports gambling legal. A lot of folks are preparing for football season to start. And a new study from the Better Business Bureau is revealing a troubling trend in online gambling. From 2022 to the middle of 2025, the BBB received nearly 200 scam reports and over 10,000 business complaints related to online gaming. So we have Juliana O'Rourke here live in studio right now. Juliana, what are the findings here? Talk to us about this.
Yeah, so we're really excited. We released a new report this morning. We typically release a couple of reports throughout the year, depending on, information that we're seeing to our scam tracker, and online gambling is a very big one. We know that obviously lots of states have legalized gambling, in-person casinos, you might have state lotteries and things like that, but there's also a lot of online gambling platforms that are not legitimate, and there's people that really don't know the difference. It's no different than when we talk about seeing sponsored ads on social media. You see these ads for these online gambling or gaming sites. You click on them. You want to start playing. You have a good time. You do the things you need to do. You win some money, and then you go to cash out, and you're not actually to maybe get all of the funds. Maybe it's a certain percentage. Maybe they've frozen some of those funds. And so the study really focuses on the reports that we've received of these sites that are not legitimate. They're not paying out correctly. People aren't paying attention to the fine print. And so there's a lot of data behind the scenes. So we're really excited that, we've been able to put it together and release it today.
Yeah, that's really important information too, because really the findings are staggering now. Study finding over 10,000 complaints in just 2.5 years. Anything surprising about these findings?
Yeah, so I think just the numbers in general are pretty big. It's legal here in North Carolina, but when you see some of this stuff online, I don't think people realize that just like fake shopping websites, these gaming and gambling sites are also fake as well. So anytime maybe you want to play, you see something advertised to you online, do a little research before you actually put in your information or start spending your money, because we don't want you to lose it. And if you do have winnings, we want you to be able to get those out. So pay attention to what it is that you're clicking on. Make sure that the sites are actually legitimate. There's a lot of things you can do behind the scenes. So Of course, we always talk about, what are other people saying? Maybe look up the actual site itself versus if you're clicking away from social media, throw the word scam behind the company name, throw the word review behind the company name, just see what people are saying. And then also with, the way that generative AI overviews, there's so much information out there that you can find before you actually put your contact information, put your money in, start playing, and then realize you've kind of been taken advantage of.
There are a handful of legitimate companies out there, online gaming companies, and that's not a problem. Again, because like you said, legal here in North Carolina, but there is a gray market versus a completely illegal operation.
Exactly.
Right?
So the name of this study, and I'm going to look at my notes.
Yeah,
Just so
please.
that
I cheat all the time on my notes.
It's a long one. So it's called Gray Markets and Illegal Gambling. BBB study finds consumers confused and upset amid hundreds of unlicensed and unverified online casinos and sports books. So that's one of the biggest things that we also recommend is to check to see if whatever specific casino or sports book is actually licensed. Again, check out that fine print. We know that even if it might be a legitimate website, sometimes those winnings can be frozen for whatever the reason. Again, that's in the fine print. So you're going to want to check all of that out before you start spending your money.
All right, I mean, thousands of dollars are being lost due to some really sketchy tactics here. What kinds of tactics are these bad actors doing?
Yeah, so I mean, again, they just really want you to get to the site. So they might have ads running on social media that are very generic. They have a lot of excitement. If it's a sweepstakes style gaming site, that's a red flag you want to watch out for sure. Make sure if you're on a specific site, they have a privacy policy. That's another good way to tell, is it a legitimate site or not? Do they actually have a privacy policy? So those are all things you're going to want to be looking out for, because it's estimated that it's over $400 billion that is the size of the illegal gambling market. Wow. That's a lot of money. So just be really careful.
I mean, we've had some stories out of North Carolina already. This Franklin guy.
Yeah, we do have one local
what happened
report.
to him?
And basically it looks like he, found a site that was advertised on Facebook. He's played with these different sites in the past, but he came upon one that he played and put a lot of money in and said that, he went to cash out and really wasn't able to. And so he was definitely taken advantage of. He's tried to reach out to anybody and everybody to help him. And unfortunately, those funds are gone once they're gone.
Oh, ouch. All right. So what legal protections do consumers have if they find themselves scammed?
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a gray area, right?
Yeah.
That's the hard part is, we always talk about paying with a credit card so you have a little bit more financial protection and backing if you are taken advantage of, but really just do the research before you put anything out there. Also, if any of those sites are asking you to pay with cryptocurrency, that's a red flag across the board.
Okay.
So, not just with this, but in general, if somebody's trying to get you to do investments or anything and they mention cryptocurrency, you probably want to run in the other direction.
Okay. Any any changes on the horizon that might address this?
It's kind of a state by state thing as far as gambling and gaming and all of that stuff goes. So, we'll see what states do and how they handle knowing this information now, because maybe they haven't known it in the past.
Right, they need to combat that.
Yeah, hopefully with us spreading the word and releasing this report, people will see just how much money is being lost to these fake websites.
All right. Anything else we need to know before we put our money down on some of these friendly, they should be entertainment.
Yeah, right, because you're supposed to have fun.
Not supposed to put your life savings down.
Right, but, unfortunately, we've seen it go awry too many times. So just be really cautious and careful before you put information in anywhere, whether it's personal information, financial information. I know we talk about it all the time, but protect that with everything you have.
No kidding. They're trying to get us every which way they can, aren't they? All right, Juliana O'Rourke, protecting our money, so we're not asking where's the money. All right, gambling and online betting, legal in North Carolina. Just got to be careful. Thanks, Juliana.
Thanks.
All right, time right now is 10:07. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC+. We are awaiting a press conference from North Carolina Governor Josh Stein as they prepare mostly the Carolinas, but the beach areas, Outer Banks, because of Hurricane Erin. So as we track that, not expected to make landfall, of course, but you don't need it to make landfall to do any real damage. It's just the winds, the surge. We know they are going to be affected. So that should be coming up, scheduled for 10:15. We are going to go into that as soon as we see the governor step up to that podium on that live picture. But back to CMS and leaders for Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools getting families ready for the first day of school. We'll continue with this previously recorded presser here on WCNC+.
To ensure our facilities are ready for students and staff on August 25th. Capital maintenance projects included new HVAC units in 9 schools, new roofs for 3 schools, several paving and flooring projects, as well as LED lighting replacement at several sites. Custodial services has also completed cleaning at all schools. In school nutrition, the nutrition team has been working hard to support health and well-being of our students with delicious new menu options. This year, we're introducing a new veggie taco and a flavorful ramen bowl to our menu. We will continue to have free breakfast for all CMS students with meal prices remaining unchanged. Students at 115 community-eligible program provision schools will receive meals at no cost. The list of CEP schools is available under School Nutrition Services on the district site. And students attending non-CEP schools will need to complete a meal application to be considered for free or reduced lunch benefits. The online applications are available on the CMS website under Families, then School Nutrition Services. Transportation. We have over 105,000 students assigned for transportation, with 858 buses expected to hit the road on Monday. We currently have 97 driver vacancies, but do not anticipate any impact since all routes are covered for the first week of school. We want to remind parents to download the Here Comes the Bus app and use the Alpha Route via cmsk12.org/buses. Everyone is also reminded to please be at their bus stop 10 minutes before the scheduled arrival time every day for the first week of school. Express stops will be in place this year for all high school magnet programs, and I also want to emphasize that it is illegal and extremely dangerous to pass a stopped school bus with its stop arm extended. For more information on transportation, including a chart that outlines when transportation services will be available based on when students are registered for transportation, visit the CMS website under the Transportation Department. And lastly, I want to encourage everyone to please be cautious next week as our 141,000+ students head back to school. As school buses, teenage drivers, and parents transporting students back and forth to school are reintroduced to the Mecklenburg County traffic pattern, we ask that everyone practice patience and be alert as we welcome families back to CMS. I'd like to this time introduce Dr. Keisha Collin, Chief Human Resource Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Ivey. Good morning. We are pleased to be welcoming 736. Good morning. Schools. This year, we continue to invest in and strengthen several strategic initiatives designed to recruit and retain outstanding educators to CMS. One key initiative is our extensive teacher onboarding experience, which is the most in-depth experience currently offered in our region for teachers. Over the past several weeks, 660 teachers participated in our second annual Crown Academy, a comprehensive orientation and onboarding program for teachers. We have truly hit the jackpot with the teachers and staff who have chosen CMS, and we thank them for their commitment to the students and families of Charlotte-Mecklenburg County.
We've held 8 in-person or virtual career events since March, as well as conducted numerous marketing campaigns to support hiring for all of our schools and departments. Our CMS Teaching Residency Program, which is our own district-sponsored educator preparation program, continues to be a strong pipeline for teacher vacancies. The program is set to support its largest cohort yet, with 266 teacher residents for the 25-26 school year, all of whom have been hired for teaching positions and will be closely supported as they work
All right, that is a previously recorded press conference for CMS students. We're just slowly chipping away at it. Want to bring you a live event right now here at 10:13 on Wednesday morning. We are getting also ready for Labor Day, the last official holiday of the summer. And with it, NCDOT is holding a press conference event. They're calling it the Labor Day Booze It and Lose It campaign. So pretty much says it itself with those words, but let's go ahead and listen in live on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
I want to give a big shout out to all of our law enforcement partners. They're represented very well here today, and they are out there every day doing dangerous work to help protect the public and make our roads safe. So thank you. But most importantly, we need a commitment from everybody in the motoring public to be safe on the roads. It can't be said enough. Don't speed, avoid distractions, wear your seatbelts, and of course, never drink and drive. You know, today, there's so many alternatives, ride sharing, cabs, friends, so if you're gonna have a drink, just plain don't drive. Together, with all of our partners and the public, we can all make better decisions to ensure that every driver returns home safely. Thank you all, and I'll turn it back over to Mark now. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Tony. We are grateful for your leadership on the North Carolina Board of Transportation. I know what a commitment you put in to this work, and I know how much it matters to you. Like Tony mentioned, in addition to the enforcement efforts, we also have significant public outreach through our many partners. One of the most steadfast partners that we've had has been AAA, the Auto Club, which serves more than 13 million members nationwide and are in this area, and is the second largest AAA club in North America. I will say that AAA was one of the first groups that I thought of when we tried to come up with ways to get nonprofits more involved in this area. Traffic deaths are frankly one of the leading causes of death in North Carolina, but we didn't have much in the way of nonprofits working to address this issue as they do other causes of death. So with Tiffany's help and the help of many others, we have put together a nonprofit called the North Carolina Alliance for Safe Transportation that's going to be advocating for issues that will help keep us all safe on our roads. But the work that AAA, the Auto Club, does, and that she does as a board member of NCAS, makes a tremendous difference in North Carolina. So now, Tiffany, I'd like to turn it over to you for a few words. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. So when I first arrived in Charlotte, I thought this is just going to be a couple years, just going to be another stop, another opportunity, another step in my journey. Well, that was 25 years ago, and I'm so proud to call Charlotte my home. The Queen Cities where I built a life and where I found an additional purpose for the work that I do. So for the past 11 years, I've been the Director of Public Affairs for AAA, the Auto Club Group. And I can say with confidence that AAA is deeply committed to safety in the communities that we serve. Whether you're stranded with a flat tire or a dead battery alongside the road, AAA is going to be there. In fact, last year during the Labor Day holiday alone, we rescued 380,000 motorists nationwide. So I can also stand firmly behind the mission, of the Governor's Highway Safety Programs and its initiatives like Booze It and Lose It. It aims to keep our roads safe for everyone. At AAA, we say crashes hit different. And what we mean by that is crashes hit different when they happen to you. It's easy to think, I can be fine, I can have a few drinks and I can drive. Or, that kind of thing happens to other people. But risky driving habits, they become personal when they happen to you, when they happen to your loved ones. We believe at AAA that the 4 leading contributors to traffic injuries and fatalities are all, just like Mayor Lau said, preventable. Not wearing seatbelts, distracted driving, speeding, impaired driving. And today we're focusing on impaired driving, especially relevant during these summer celebrations and holidays like Labor Day. Despite the risk, millions of people drive impaired every year. And every day, an estimated 32 lives are lost in an alcohol-related crash. That doesn't even account for impairment from other substances, drugs. So with so many options available, just as Tony was saying, rideshare apps, designated drivers, and yes, even AAA, there's really simply no excuse to drive impaired. During the Labor Day holiday, in fact, not sure if you all know this, but AAA in the Charlotte area offers a service where we'll pick you up if you've had too much to drink, and we will tow your car to your home. You don't have to be a member at all. We're your last line of defense. Because again, there's just no excuse to get behind the wheel impaired. Now, as Mark Ezell, alluded to, I do want to briefly highlight the organization that I co-chair, the North Carolina Alliance for Safe Transportation, or NCAST. NCAST is a nonprofit dedicated to promoting safe driving behaviors across our state, and its mission aligns closely with the Governor's Highway Safety Program to reduce crashes, injuries, and fatalities in the state of North Carolina. I encourage you to visit besafenc.org to learn more about ways you can find to help out with this important work. So whether I'm with AAA or I'm helping out with NCAST, the goal is always the same, and the goal is for everyone that's here, that you've heard from today, is to save lives. So this Labor Day, remember, booze it and lose it. If you plan to drink, make a plan. Designate a sober driver, or call AAA right here in Charlotte. We're here to help. Let's turn things back over to Mark Ezell. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Tiffany. Thank you, Tiffany. And as we wrap up today, let me repeat a couple of important reminders. I'm glad Tiffany brought up one thing, and that is that though the focus of this effort appears to be impaired driving, after all, it is called Booze It and Lose It, the fact of the matter is that impairment does not necessarily involve simply alcohol. We are seeing a rise in polysubstance use, people impaired with alcohol and other substances. That includes illegal substances. Sometimes, frankly, that includes legal substances. Prescriptions that are simply not appropriate to take along with alcohol, or to take alone if you were then going to get behind the wheel of a car. The fact is that if you feel different, you drive different. And you can be charged and convicted with driving while impaired, regardless of what the impairing substance is. We also want to remind you to make a plan to keep yourself and others safe. As Tiffany mentioned, if you're going to have friends over, as many people will during Labor Day, make sure that they're in a condition to drive home safely. Call a cab, ride sharing, AAA can all help. Everyone in the vehicle, we need to remind you, even though this is not about, this campaign is not specifically about occupant protection, you gotta wear your seatbelt. The fact is that people every day make stupid decisions, but if they're wearing their seatbelt, they're likely to be able to leave that crash unscathed. And we also need to make sure that you pay attention when you're driving. It is a complex task, and that many of us feel overconfident in our ability to perform. So as we wrap up, we want to thank you all for being here today. We will be taking some photographs following this event, so please stick around for that. Thank you very much, and have a very safe Labor Day. Thank you.
All right, you are watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. It looks like that presser came to an abrupt end for the Labor Day Lose It and Booze It campaign from NCDOT. Bottom line is, don't do it as you celebrate the holiday. Be safe. Make sure you and your family stay safe so that we can see you for the rest of the year. We continue with the CMS presser that was previously recorded, getting ready to go back to school, awaiting Governor Josh Stein to speak on Hurricane Erin preparedness for the East Coast of North Carolina. But let's go back to this press conference while we wait for Governor Stein here on WCNC Plus.
These strategies, along with others, have led us to currently have 97.6% of teacher positions filled. Now, I would like to introduce Dr. Candace Salmon, Chief Technology Officer.
Thank you, Dr. Kahn. Good morning. Charlotte-Mecklenburg School Systems is entering the 25-26 school year with significant progress in artificial intelligence, technology access, and system readiness. Building on extensive stakeholder input, CMS is strengthening responsible AI use, ensuring equitable device access, and completing key infrastructure updates to support future innovation. We are advancing into the next phase of AI implementation with system-wide training, adoption of the state's Student AI Use Continuum, and the launch of AI schools to pilot innovations. This summer, we achieved one-to-one device access for Camp CMS students, equipped 660 new teachers with laptops, and deployed Infinite Campus kiosks in every school.
All right, we do see Josh Stein, Governor Josh Stein, speaking at the podium now, talking about an emergency operation because of Hurricane Erin. Let's go ahead and listen in here live now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
States on Hurricane Erin. Hurricane Erin is currently a Category 2 hurricane that will likely strengthen over the course of the day today. The storm remains dangerous and is already impacting lots of people here in North Carolina. Folks on the coast need to take care.
All right, hang with us here as we are getting another picture feed for Governor Josh Stein. We will go back to it now on WCNC.
Have been declared in Currituck County, Dare County, and Hyde County. Mandatory evacuations are in tropical storm force winds and tidal and storm surge from under an evacuation order. Take action now before it's too late. You can find shelter at the state-operated disaster shelter located at 113 Wilcox Street in Warrenton, North Carolina. Pets are allowed at the shelter. I want to thank Warren County Emergency Management for hosting the shelter guests and the General Assembly for helping to fund it. Yesterday, I declared a state of emergency across North Carolina to facilitate our emergency response and to keep you safe. This statewide state of emergency enables us to send critical resources from across the state and around the country to respond. We've activated a cross-agency storm response that includes the Department of Public Safety, the Department of Transportation, the North Carolina National Guard, the State Highway Patrol, and local partners. Our state emergency response team stands ready to quickly and decisively respond to any needs along the coast. We have already pre-positioned 3 swiftwater rescue teams and 200 National Guard troops to various locations on the coast, along with boats, high clearance vehicles, and aircraft. We have on standby some Chinooks from Georgia ready to transport food and water if it becomes necessary. Momentarily, you will hear from Director Ray about hurricane and our emergency response operations. Right now, I want to emphasize the importance of taking this storm seriously because it's a serious storm and conditions can deteriorate quickly. Please take these steps to ensure your safety. First, stay informed. Follow reputable sources of information like the National Weather Service and local media so you know the latest about the storm risks. I strongly encourage you to register online right now for emergency text and phone alerts from your county emergency management agency. Second, get your disaster kit ready. Think about what you would need after a major storm. Things like enough food, water, and supplies for 3 to 5 days for each person and pet in your household, a flashlight and fresh batteries, a battery-operated radio. Next, have a plan. In case you have to evacuate, build a go bag of cash, prescriptions, phone chargers, and important documents like insurance policies and other personal and financial records. Take photos of whatever you own that is valuable in case it gets destroyed. Know your evacuation plan and how to connect with your family after the storm. Write down their phone numbers on a piece of paper if you have not memorized them. Visit knowyourzone.nc.gov for more information. And finally, do not drive through flood waters. Too many people have died driving into flooded roadways. Don't do it. You do not know how deep water is or how fast it is running. So please, don't drown, turn around. We do not want you to become a casualty of Hurricane Erin. With ocean overwash, we anticipate impacts to our roadways, especially NC Highway 12. For the most up-to-date roadway information, visit drivenc.gov. For more information about the storm, preparations, evacuation orders, open shelters, or other important tips, visit readync.gov/Erin. Our American Sign Language interpreters today are Mark Lineberger and Stephen Holland. Behind the scenes, our Spanish language interpreters are Jackie Matevier and Yasmin Palizzi. At this time, I'll turn it over to Director Will Ray.
Thank you, Governor, and good morning, everyone. Erin remains a dangerous hurricane, but as the Governor mentioned, the storm is forecast to remain offshore. While it may fluctuate in strength over the next day or so, Erin will remain a hurricane while making its closest approach to North Carolina late today and into tomorrow. The system is expected to turn northward today and then northeastward tomorrow, gaining forward speed while moving away from North Carolina. A tropical storm warning is now in effect from Beaufort Inlet north to Duck, and a storm surge warning is now in effect from Cape Lookout to Duck. If you've been asked to evacuate, please do so now, before conditions deteriorate and roads become impassable. Do not drive around barricades and do not drive through flooded waters. You cannot judge the depth or speed of floodwaters from inside your vehicle. I want to remind everyone, regardless of the track of the center of the storm, dangerous conditions can be felt far from the eye, especially with a system as large as Erin. Regardless of her track, moderate to locally significant impacts are expected along our coast and expected to peak today and into tomorrow. Extremely large, dangerous waves forecasted around 20 feet in height, along with storm surge of 2 to 4 feet on top of the surf, will likely impact the dunes along portions of the North Carolina coast, especially east and southeast facing beaches and the Outer Banks. Numerous roadways will likely become impassable, especially on Highway 12, as the Governor mentioned, and in communities on the barrier islands. This will be a longer duration event, with coastal flooding expected over several high tide cycles. We will see rain bands trailing Erin that will also impact the area, already saturated soils across the area, which could lead to extended impacts. Please be sure to have multiple ways to receive weather alerts, especially during the overnight hours. You need to be informed by receiving information from reputable sources of information and have a plan to protect yourself and your family. Hurricane Erin is already creating extremely dangerous and life-threatening rip currents for all of the North Carolina coast that will linger through the week. We've seen a high number of rescues along the coast, and you should avoid swimming anywhere on the North Carolina coast right now. The State Emergency Response Team began preparations late last week as soon as forecasts began to indicate that North Carolina may receive impacts. And today, the State Emergency Operations Center is activated, as is our Regional Coordination Center East in Kinston, to facilitate the movement of resources and commodities into impacted communities and to support local response. Yesterday, North Carolina Emergency Management deployed 3 of our state's swiftwater rescue teams from partners in the North Carolina Marine Patrol, North Carolina Wildlife Resources, and a joint team made up of the Wake Forest Fire Department and Knightdale Fire Department, as well as 3 of our state's search and rescue task forces from Buncombe County, the Charlotte Fire Department, and the Greensboro Fire Department, all of which have water rescue, structural collapse, and wide area search capabilities. These search and rescue assets are positioned in eastern North Carolina to quickly respond to assist first responders and local emergency managers with response needs. We've activated approximately 200 North Carolina National Guardsmen with high clearance vehicles and positioned them across the coastal plain to support quick response into those impacted communities. Aircraft have been placed on standby from the North Carolina National Guard and the State Highway Patrol to support rescue needs as well as movement of commodities, teams, or equipment. With the potential for roadways to be impassable for multiple days, we are also activating the additional heavy lift aircraft that the governor mentioned from neighboring states to support large-scale movement as a contingency plan. Our logistics teams remain ready to support commodity distribution from our warehouses and partners into those impacted areas. Additional local emergency managers and public safety personnel have deployed from non-impacted portions of our state to serve on incident management teams, which will assist those impacted communities. The North Carolina Department of Transportation has equipment and personnel staged and ready to clear roadways along the coast as conditions improve later this week, and the North Carolina Highway Patrol is working to ensure safe evacuation routes and that road closures are put into place when necessary. As the governor mentioned, there have been evacuation orders for visitors and residents in portions of Dare and Hyde counties, particularly Hatteras and Ocracoke, and those orders do remain in place. Anyone in those areas should heed these evacuation orders for your own safety and as well as other direction from public safety officials. For anyone evacuating that needs somewhere to stay, a state-operated shelter is open and is safely located in Warrenton. As the governor mentioned, pets are welcome at this shelter, and you can find information by visiting readync.gov/Aaron. Finally, I want to mention that while all eyes are on Aaron and its impacts to our coast and those communities, North Carolina emergency management personnel and our local emergency management partners remain also focused on facilitating recovery efforts across western North Carolina. The Joint Recovery Office remains open in Asheville without interruption, as are the multi-agency recovery centers, which have served over 6,800 Helene survivors to date. Areas in our central part of the state have also recently experienced impacts from Tropical Storm Chantal, and those disaster recovery centers remain open in local communities that were impacted. State individual assistance is available to those Chantal survivors while we await a decision from the federal government on North Carolina's request for a major disaster declaration for public assistance, which would provide additional recovery resources to those impacted communities and our state. Please remain informed and have a plan to protect yourself today, tonight, and tomorrow if you are along our coast. I continue to be incredibly proud of the partnerships of our state emergency response team, public sector, private sector, nonprofits, and volunteer agencies at all levels, working together to support the 10.8 million North Carolinians we all serve. Together, we are stronger and more resilient. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Bill. At this time, happy to take questions from the room to any of the participants on the stage. Please just go to either side to ask your question.
Thanks, Governor. Laura Leslie with WRAL. We reported yesterday that we're still waiting for hundreds of millions of dollars, I gather, from aid from FEMA. Can you talk about whether that's going to impact our ability to respond to Aaron? And, has the federal government been a good partner in getting ready for this hurricane season?
Well, I want to acknowledge and express my appreciation to FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security. Yesterday, we got word that about $85 million of the previously approved projects, that reimbursement will be released. We have not yet received the money, but every indication is that those funds will be coming shortly. Now, we still have $100 million in other projects that are due for reimbursement, and it creates real financial strain, especially for the local governments, but also the state. And so we will continue to work with our federal partners to make sure that the reimbursements are processed as quickly as possible. And then we'll have to wait and see what the impacts are for Hurricane Erin to see whether we need federal assistance as it relates to this storm.
Is this taking longer than usual?
I think it has taken longer than usual. That's true.
And just one follow-up question, and that's about reputable information. You mentioned that, and so did Director Ray. We've seen a lot of misinformation and AI on social media out there about this storm in particular. Is there anything the state can do about that, and what do you recommend that people do in order to make sure they're not getting taken in by scams or other misinformation?
I think if you want to truly know what's going on with the storm, I would watch weather channels, I would watch local TV news, I would listen to the National Weather Service. I would go to those sources. I would not get my information from social media. It is just too easy for salacious, really dramatic stories to take root and spread like wildfire, even in a hurricane, because that's what people click on. Don't get your news from social media. If you see something on social media that sparks your interest, just go to a traditional website or news source and find out whether it's true.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Dina Harley with CBS 17. I have two questions. One being, with Tropical Storm Chantal, you did not declare a state of emergency right away because that was not a statewide event, but this one isn't either. So can you explain the difference there? And then the second question, another financial one, we obviously still don't have a state budget, which means the rainy day fund also hasn't been replenished. If you can just talk about, like, state-wise, financially, how that works for storms like this while we're still waiting for a budget.
Yes. In terms of declaring the statewide emergency, this was going to impact many counties, and when we saw the weather projections, we couldn't anticipate how far west it would go. And by declaring that state emergency, it enabled us to leverage a lot of resources. It also allowed us to make changes on our transportation regulations. The Highway Patrol has to, when there's a heavy truck, if they see a heavy truck, they have to stop it and ticket it if it is excessive in size. Well, by declaring the statewide emergency, we could allow the Highway Patrol to let these heavy trucks go on roads that are safe, not on bridges that can't sustain the weight, to pre-position to respond to whatever impacts the storm are. It also enabled us to reach out to our neighboring states. We don't have the big Chinook helicopters that can move food and water, so it allowed us to trigger that as well. That's why we did it. The Chantal was a much more localized event, but then we came to the conclusion that it would help to declare a state emergency to trigger the relief that was necessary for those impacted people. And then what was your other question was on the money?
Yes.
These guys have enough money in their account to respond to the storm. Clearly, we need to engage with the General Assembly to make sure that going forward, we have adequate resources to respond to storms like this.
Thank you.
Hi, Brandon Kingdollar from NC Newsline. I wanted to ask whether what you'd heard from the federal government so far in preparing for Hurricane Erin. Have you gotten any indication that you'll get maybe more cooperation from them than with other storms?
In terms of the federal response, the nature of this storm is such that we haven't needed to call upon those resources to respond to the immediate aftermath of the storm. I'll have the director come forward and talk about his conversations with the Coast Guard and the EPA and others. We don't know what the extent of the damage is going to be. If it ends up being substantial, then at that point, we're going to have to reach out to the federal government to help us with the recovery, and we just have to wait and see. I'm hopeful that they will respond favorably.
Thank you.
And why don't you talk about your response to the federal government?
Thank you, sir. So I think just in follow-up, I think a couple of things. We have talked to FEMA leadership over the last couple of days daily about just impacts, what we're planning on, anticipated gaps or barriers, and what we may need. And so I think have very good open dialogue with senior FEMA leadership right now if there should be a need, as well as out of our regional headquarters that's based in Atlanta. At this point, as the governor said, I think we're not anticipating and what we may need. And so I think have very good open dialogue with senior FEMA leadership right now if there should be a need, as well as out of our regional headquarters that's based in Atlanta. At this point, as the governor said, I think we're not anticipating significant federal resources to support response. I think as we move through the event, we will continue to reassess that. I think it's also important to note that here in North Carolina, and I think you've heard us talk about this before, we have what's called a FEMA integration team. So we actually have a small team from FEMA across their different parts of their agency that are embedded here with our team every single day. We work alongside with them, so they are here daily working with us. We also have some specialists from the National Hurricane Center that are also embedded with our weather team day to day. I think as the governor mentioned, I think one of the areas we are looking at that often impacts coastal events is when we see some of the coordination around abandoned vessels or derelict vessels, anything that could lead to hazardous materials being in waterways. And those are conversations we've been having over the course of this week with the various federal agencies, so EPA, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Coast Guard, on how we, one, support life safety missions in those impacted areas, but also have the right federal resources postured should we need it to deal with some of the infrastructure impacts there.
Thanks, Will.
This question is for the Governor, Dwan Hogard, WTVD. First things, after the response of Helene and even now how folks there in the western part of the state are still recovering right now, what lessons have you learned from that major event, and how are you applying it to Hurricane Erin? And then secondly, I know you guys are having those conversations at the federal level. A lot of folks in the western part of the state were probably expecting something a little bit more, maybe from a state and federal level. How confident are you that the state will get what it needs from the federal government if you have to make that phone call?
Yeah, we've had healthy working relationships with the federal government over these past 11 months since Hurricane Helene swept through western North Carolina. In terms of the extent of federal support, it has not met the need. If you put together, aggregate all of the different types of federal relief we've gotten, whether it was through FEMA or the U.S. Department of Transportation or the Army Corps of Engineer or whatever Small Business Administration, we're at about 8% of the overall damages, which was $60 billion. So we're grateful for every dollar that we get. But when you look at historically other major storms, the average is in the 40% range. Some storms got upwards of 70% of the overall damage in support from the federal government. So the federal government has not met the moment. We're going to continue to make our case to our congressional delegation and to the administration to urge them to support Western North Carolina to the degree that is necessary. In terms of what lessons that are learned from that relationship to the east, we just have to wait and see what the extent of the damage is and whether it has any impacts on our ongoing ability to get the support we need from the federal government. I think these folks, they know how to respond to a storm. They know how to analyze the type of storm that's coming. They know what assets to pre-position. There are 4 different sites in eastern North Carolina where there are National Guard troops. There are the swift water rescue teams from other local government agencies and from state agencies that Will referenced. And so I have every confidence that they know what they need to do in order to respond to what's going to happen this week in eastern North Carolina.
Are you expecting anything different from the federal government?
It remains to be seen. I mean, we've gotten good response from our congressional delegation. They've been helpful at every step of the way. We now are at the next stage, which is we need a lot of help for Western North Carolina, and we hope that that funding will come.
Thank you.
Well,
hey, Governor Will Doran from WRAL. You spoke about the concerns with Highway 12. Director Ray spoke about that as well. And I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars the state has spent on that one specific road in recent years, but are there broader conversations that we need to be having about the viability of those roads or other coastal roads so that there isn't as much damage every single time we get a hurricane coming through?
Yeah, well, we'll just obviously have to wait and see what the extent of the damage is with this storm. Look, people love our Outer Banks. It's a national treasure, and you need to be able to get to them. We have ferries that take us to the islands, but this is an important road for North Carolina. There's so much so many people live there. There's so much tourism dollars that goes on that road. It is an important asset to the state, and we need to do everything we can to protect and preserve it. And I'll see if Secretary Hopkins wants to add any words on NC-12.
Yeah, thank you, Governor. First of all, I would agree. NC-12 is the interstate of the Outer Banks, and it's important that we keep it viable. We keep it where the goods, commodities, the tourists, and the residents can use it. Longer term, we are doing a number of studies, working with some the institutions, the educational institutions in the state, and also the local governments, looking at our assets out there and what we need to do as far as potentially making it more resilient, potentially relocating to a higher area and what we can do there. And there'll be ongoing studies as we move through, not just with NC-12, but also our ferry assets out at Ocracoke and Hatteras and other points on the Outer Banks.
Thanks, Joe. Yes.
Hey, Governor, Patrick Thomas with Spectrum News 1. You touched a lot on evacuations, and I'm curious as to how much these evacuation mandates are sort of out of abundance of caution because of what has been learned from previous storms, from Chantal, Helene, up until now.
Yeah, well, when there is a major storm, when there is flooding, there is great risk of death. And what we don't want is for people to die. And the local governments were the ones who declared the evacuation orders. They know their community, their geography, their evacuation routes the best. So we are supportive of those orders. We're going to do everything in our power to keep people safe. If you are on one of the two islands, Hatteras or Ocracoke, and can get off still, the ferries I think are running for another hour or two, we urge you to do that. And if you have not evacuated, make sure you batten down the hatches.
And Governor, as a follow-up, what is your real level of confidence that FEMA will answer the call for what has already happened with Helene, but also because of what happened in Kirk County, Texas, and the slow response, that if anything does come of this with Hurricane Erin, they'd be able to help the state of North Carolina?
Clearly, there's a lot of turmoil or consternation in Washington about what to do with FEMA. I mean, the president initially declared he wanted to get rid of FEMA. He's created a FEMA review council. I think the latest indication is that they're going to keep and reform FEMA. That is an outcome that I heartily embrace. There are things we can do that will help FEMA serve our people better. But we absolutely need the partnership of the federal government. These storms, this one appears to be localizing on North Carolina, but many of the storms hit an entire region. The scale of these storms are massive, $60 billion in western North Carolina from Hurricane Helene. Those kind of resources don't exist in western North Carolina to respond. Heck, our state two-year budget is $66 billion. So essentially we would have to forego the entire two-year budget just to get western North Carolina back to where it was before. The only institution that has the kind of resources and the expertise on a regional level to respond is the federal government. That is why it is essential that we keep and improve FEMA on a going forward basis. We will continue to engage our federal partners to have a constructive, positive relationship to make sure that the people of western North Carolina, the people of eastern North Carolina, the coast, the people in central, we have a public assistance request before FEMA as it relates to Chantal right now. So we need their help, their partnership, and we are eager to continue to develop that.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll go to the phone. If there are any questions online or on phone, please raise your hand.
Zachary Turner, you raise your hand. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. I hear you. Zachary, we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
All right. Thank you all for being here.
And at 10:52, watching live a press conference from North Carolina Governor Josh Stein on the prep work they are doing with emergency management there along the East Coast in North Carolina in order to be prepared for whatever happens because of Hurricane Erin. That's not expected to make landfall, but expected to cause high winds and storm surge. The two of the issues they are going to be dealing with along the coast, and currently a Cat 2, strong Cat 2 with Hurricane Erin. Take you back out to the CMS presser as we continue to play this out. Previously recorded press conference getting ready for the first day of school come Monday. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
For teachers, we have truly hit the jackpot with the teachers and staff who have chosen CMS, and we thank them for their commitment to the students and families of Charlotte-Mecklenburg County. We've held 8 in-person or virtual career events since March, as well as conducted numerous marketing campaigns to support hiring for all of our schools and departments. Our CMS Teaching Residency Program, which is our own district-sponsored educator preparation program, continues to be a strong pipeline for teacher vacancies. The program is set to support its largest cohort yet, with 266 teacher residents for the 25-26 school year, all of whom have been hired for teaching positions and will be closely supported as they work toward becoming fully credentialed. These strategies, along with others, have led us to currently have 97.6% of teacher positions filled. Now, I would like to introduce Dr. Candace Salmon, Chief Technology Officer.
Thank you, Dr. Kahn. Good morning. Charlotte-Mecklenburg School Systems is entering the 25-26 school year with significant progress in artificial intelligence, technology access, and system readiness. Building on extensive stakeholder input, CMS is strengthening responsible AI use, ensuring equitable device access, and completing key infrastructure updates to support future innovation. We are advancing into the next phase of AI implementation with system-wide training, adoption of the state's Student AI Use Continuum, and the launch of AI schools to pilot innovations. This summer, we achieved one-to-one device access for Camp CMS students, equipped 660 new teachers with laptops, and deployed Infinite Campus kiosks in every school to improve family access. A district-wide technology audit was completed, ensuring accurate inventory, device allocations, and strategic planning for schools to begin device deployment to our students. Together, these efforts help position CMS for a successful launch of the new year. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer, Beth Thompson.
Good morning. This school year, we continue our work toward our district goals and guardrails, and we have a roadmap for success. Tune in to our Board of Education meetings for end-of-year goal Day, August the 26th, and continue through November. Also, tune in on Wednesday, September 3rd for more information about our 2024-25 state accountability performance results. That's when the state will release those results statewide along with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools' 24-25 data. I look forward to seeing you there. If you're joining the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools family this year, it's important to start by registering for school. We encourage you as soon as possible to your child will have transportation and a schedule on the very first day of school. We're happy to share that new this year, parents or guardians can complete that school registration process completely online from any location with internet access, including from their very own home. If parents choose to register online, you provide all necessary information for your child, required documents by form. This change was made by the state of North Carolina, and we, along with all the school districts across North Carolina, have been preparing for this transition for a very long time. Similar to PowerSchool, which our families and students are very familiar with, this year, the use of Infinite Campus will help parents and students, but parents especially, find announcements, assignments, attendance information, grades, their child's schedule, and so much more. Visit the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools website Back to School page, click on Infinite Campus for more information. Again, don't delay. Parents, we want to be sure that you have your Parent Portal app downloaded prior to open house so you can log into Infinite Campus and review your child's teachers and schedule for this year. We want to make sure you have that information for your child. Once parents have downloaded the Infinite Campus Parent Portal app, they'll need to create their very own account. That's called the Infinite Campus Parent Portal in order to access your child's information. This portal allows parents to sign on and access that information safely and securely. It is now available to create. In fact, as of this morning, we have 40,382 students who have at least one.
And if you've missed any part of that previously recorded press conference for CMS, it is available on our website or on the WCNC Charlotte app. We're coming up on 11 o'clock right now. I'm Jane Monreal. We appreciate you watching. Nick Sturdivant's up at 12:30. For now, Charlotte Today is up next. Have a great day.